go ahead and get started. Just to let everybody know, we are recording this. So we're going to take snippets from the various interview questions and we'll, utilize them in social media, and you can use them in your social media and or whatever you want to use them for. So just know that we're recording. I wanted to start out, welcome everybody for coming and joining us today. We've got 4 great candidates that we want to introduce to everyone. If you don't already know them, we want to introduce them here. We've got Daryl Evans for House District 89, George King for State Board of Education District 12, Rachel Mello for State Senate District 8, and Sandeep Srivastav for Congressional District 3. So welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. I wanted to get started with some I think to me it's really good news, and I hope you all will too. We have, I know that you all that are here and that are, working with people out there in Collin County have been just trying to turn Collin County blue, because over the last whatever 4 or 5 election periods, we've been slowly making inroads, but there are 6 counties in this state that are the 6 largest counties in the state, and out of them 5 of them are blue, and the 6th one is Collin County, and it's still not blue. But let's take a look at this really quickly. So just to give you an idea, it's a eye chart, I know. So I've highlighted some of the key things on here, but just to let you know, positive number, so without a little dash sign, a minus sign, means that the Democrats are leading. And you can, I see the question from Michael. You can leave the camera off if you want. It might save on bandwidth, so you can leave it off. Positive means Democrats lead, negative means Republicans lead. So look at Collin County. Let's just look at that first. So we started at minus 47 in 2000, and we're down to minus 6.1%. So look at the inroads that the Democrats have made. Look at the work that you've been doing and see the results here. And you know what? We are Democratic now. So oops. So moving forward, we should just consider it Democrat and get everybody out there to vote in November, and at every election, of course. But let's get them out there and change this number to a positive number. Tarrant County, as I said, one of the 6 largest counties, it's already blue. And then Travis County is Austin, but the greater Austin area is also blue as well. So we have the chance to flip the state by changing Collin County. So let's do that. And there were a bunch of takeaways. If you look at all of this, you can analyze all these numbers, but the biggest takeaway in my mind is that the Republican lead has decreased from 22% over the Democrats down to almost, 5.7. So I'm not even going to say 6%. That is 5.7. It's not even 6%. And so this shows us that Democrats are going out there and voting. And I think that, this time around, we have the chance of just flipping the state and surprising everybody, because everybody's basically has said, just Texas, who cares? Like, they're not going to be, they're red. It's a red state. Well, it's not. It's a non-voting state. And so that's what, that's the message we have to give to people and say, if you vote, you'll make it blue. It's that easy. And that's all I had to share today. Let's go ahead and let me see if I can stop this. Let's go ahead and get started with the questions for the candidates. And so I've already introduced the candidates, but let me do it one more time. Daryl Evans, House District 89, George King, State Board of Education District 12, Rachel Mello, State Senate District 8, and Sandeep Srivastav, Congressional District 3. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with Daryl. So you saw from my previous slides that, we're very close to electing Democrats, making Collin County a Democratic county, very close, and we can do it. I think we can do it. We've got a long history in this area where Democratic candidates just need like 200 votes or even 100 votes, to get elected. I mean, if you remember Sharon's here with us for HD 66, Brandy Chambers, HD 112, and Sarah Depew, HD 67, and also Scott Coleman for Collin County College Board. All of these people lost by very small margins, and that's just sad, and it's shameful. We have to get the voters out. So, let's, and every vote does count. So so let me ask Daryl first. So what is your strategy to get this message out and bring home a few more 100 votes so that you can win?
Hi, thank you. Yeah, thanks for the question. We've been thinking about this for months, and the Republicans redrew our district, as we know, thinking that and they had to move the goalposts because they see the writing on the wall, and they see that trend that we just showed earlier.
Yeah.
And so when you take a look at this panhandle that they kind of drew out for me, you'll see and I'll go from west to east. We've got like Lavon, Nevada, Copeville, Josephine, north of Royce City. Those were mostly cornfields and hayfields out there when they redrew it. And now there are literally almost, I would say 50, 60,000 more folks living out there, in these subdivisions. And these are all new builds. These are new families. And when I'm block walking out there, they're telling me, hey, where's my, it's mostly about education, but where's my, when's the high school going to be built? How are vouchers going to affect, our rural schools out here? And they are very much, and they don't know my opponent either. So I'm running. I have obviously a little bit of a name recognition disadvantage, but they redrew that district. That wasn't her district either. So we're on a pretty even playing field as far as name recognition goes. And I think that our message is much stronger, being pro educate public education. We're working on infrastructure, which is very much what those folks need out there. So, and we need, more hospitals. To get from Josephine to a hospital could take you an hour and a half. And so these are real issues that these real people out there now, they're not, it's not cornfields any longer. And, bales of hay don't vote, but these folks do. And I think that really, engaging some of these folks is gonna make the difference in this election. It was a mistake, this district redistricting. So I'm pretty excited actually to meet these folks and turn them out.
Great. Awesome. Before we let George answer, I forgot to mention that we're going to have a timer. Sarah's got this magic timer on her computer, and so everyone gets 2 minutes. I forgot to mention that. And so we'll start with George. I think Daryl was within the 2 minutes, but we'll start the timer with George, and we'll test it out with you first, George. So the same question to you, George. What is your strategy to get this message out and bring home, the few hundred votes that you need to get over that finish line?
Well, I'll tell you, I am inspired. I'm inspired by the hard work of the other candidates in this room. You've got Daryl and Sandeep, who are just tearing it up out there, block walking like constantly, and that inspires me. You've got Rachel Mello, who's working a full-time job in public education, in special education, and is out there campaigning full-time, and so that inspires me. I'll tell you what else is just the work being done by our precinct chairs and other folks that are out there just who are historically always supporting the Democratic Party. There's a lot of people out there working and giving of their time on our behalf. That kind of stuff inspires me. To put it in some real terms, Sharon Hirsch, who's on this call, ran for a House district seat in Texas back in 2020, lost by 350 votes. And in real terms, if 10 more people per precinct had voted her direction, she'd have won. And that just speaks to the whole tipping point of this whole thing. We're that close, and goodness knows Sharon worked hard to get to that point. But I think that that's the message to the three other candidates here. Hard work can make the tipping point.
Yeah, excellent. You made it within 32 seconds. So let's go to Rachel with the same question. What is your strategy to get this message out and bring home, these few hundred voters so that you can win the election?
Just been like George, really inspired by being out in the community, going to events, festivals, farmers markets, just meeting the people across District 8. The district covers 3 counties, so it's a lot of time on the road, but the energy is so palpable, and the desire for change. People are tired of being told what they have to do, and they are hopeful that they have an option, that they're excited that Democrats are running and that they feel like they actually have a choice. And so they're interested and they're more engaged because there's an option on the ballot. For so long, it's just been Republicans running in a lot of these districts, and just having the choice is making them pay more attention to what's actually going on. I'm really excited about what's happening. There's a lot of hope out there, and the joy from Kamala and the hope of just having an option, it's really contagious, and the people are really excited when you get out in the community.
Great. Thank you, Rachel. Sandeep, same question to you. What is your strategy to getting the message out that, we have to have everyone show up and not lose an election by a few hundred votes or even 1 vote, because all votes count?
Yeah.
There you go.
So first of all, thank you very much for organizing this. We really appreciate. We know how hard it is, how hard work you guys are doing throughout the state and throughout the United States. Thank you once again. So for me, it's not a few hundred votes. I need few thousand votes.
Of course.
So let me tell you a real stat. After July 18th, things have changed. We are seeing when we are knocking doors every day. My team, after July 18th, I put 10 paid block workers in my team, and we are knocking 1,000 to 1,500 doors every day. In this heat also, my block workers are knocking, because now I can see a light in the tunnel. I am very hopeful this time, because if we somehow bring the Democratic voters to come out on October 21st to November 5th, we can win Collin County. There is no way we will lose. All our candidates will win. So my thing is, I learned a lesson also from my last election. And this time we are trying to fill the gaps, what we didn't do last election. And after July 18th, the energy level among the voters, among the citizens, is totally different. I can see day and night difference. I can see, because we are block walking, and now the response what we are getting every day, it's very encouraging. I'm not getting overwhelmed by this. We have to keep the hard work going on. We have to, because we have to win.
Okay.
And again, as because my YouTube TV ads are now hitting 71% people are watching.
Oh,
it.
wow. That's great.
out of 71, 60% are watching full.
Oh, that's great.
So that
Thanks,
kind of a
Sandeep.
change we are
Yeah.
seeing.
Yeah.
And again, as I said, and Sarah might have be hearing this is my third time in 2 days. I can win how if I get one more vote than Keith Self.
Yeah,
I can win.
absolutely. It, like I
And
said
that,
earlier.
yeah, that one vote is your vote.
Yeah. Thank you, Sandeep. Good job. Thanks to all the candidates. Let's move on. We have very little time, so we want to get all these questions in and let the voters hear. All right, so candidates, please tell us what your biggest, the most critical threat in your area is, that something that keeps you awake at night, a concern for our communities, something that you want to fight to protect us. So let's start with Daryl. We have 2 minutes for Daryl.
Yeah, so what's been keeping me up is, and of course everyone is worried, and they should be worried about Project 2025. It is a real thing. It is something that they have been planning for quite some time, and it's terrifying. If you take a look at some of the details,
Yep.
I had a full head of hair before I read that, and so it is really very, very scary. But I'm hopeful that Kamala is really going to pull it out, and we're working our butts off. Everyone on this call, even some of the folks listening, are working very hard to defeat that. But we have to face the reality that Greg Abbott next year will still be our governor. And if you have looked at the GOP, Texas GOP 2024 platform out of their convention, it's also horrifying. It is a very scary thing to have pregnancy travel bans and no-fault divorce being thrown out, and biblical study, instruction in all of our schools. Now, my opponent is absolutely, and she has been pushing really hard for 10 Commandments in every school. And, they've got the chaplains already in every school, rather 10 Commandments in every classroom. And so they clearly have an agenda. They're clearly trying to defund our schools. And so the Texas version of Project 2025 is real, and it's going to affect us if we can't stop Greg Abbott. And, I've been told by several folks, and I'll wrap it up right now, but I've been told by several folks that, Daryl, you really have a chance to win this. And I said, yeah, I do. And they say, no, but when you win this, you can be the deciding vote to stop Greg Abbott. And every House district person that's running needs to realize that we are the last line of defense against the Texas version of Project 2025 to fight, the agenda of Greg Abbott. So that's what keeps me up night and keeps me going and block walking.
Yep, that certainly does keep me up as well. Thanks, Daryl. Let's go to George. What keeps you up at night? What is the most critical threat that you're seeing in our community, and what you're going to help us with?
By the way, Daryl, beautifully said. Thank you. And so what keeps me up at night is the decline and fall of public education here in the state of Texas. We have a state governor who's overtly, no, not covertly, overtly trying to Christianize and privatize public education. And what's going to be left in the wake, if the governor has his way, is a public education system that is woefully underfunded, and cannot offer the same programming, and has student teacher ratios skyrocket, and we'll have an education system mired in political ideology and theology, and so that is my can't sleep at night item.
Thank you so much. So Rachel, same question. What keeps you up at night, and what's the most critical threat, and what are you going to do to help us protect us from that?
So the thing that really keeps me up at night is when I think about women's health care. And currently in the state of Texas, a pregnant woman does not have a protected right to life. And that is absolutely horrifying to me. I took my son earlier this month to get his learner's permit. And we're sitting there. I'm trying to enjoy the moment as a parent and be in that moment with him, because this is exciting. This is a milestone for him. And we're going through the questions, and we get to the question, do you want to be an organ donor? And I'm sitting there going, my minor child has more control over his dead body than I have over my living body. That is insanity. Because I, as a living woman, do not have the right to choose not to be an organ donor. I don't know what we're doing. Like, this is insane. And I think about how that is going to impact my daughter. I have a 9-year-old daughter. And in Lake Charles earlier this month, there was a young girl under the age of 13 who was forced to give birth. She was being sexually abused. They have documented in the news story that she was being abused for 2 years. So the abuse, if she's under 13, the oldest she was 12, which means the abuse started when she was 10. My daughter is 9. You're going to force that child to have a baby? So that child has no voice. Her parents have no voice. Her doctors have no voice because the state has taken away the choice.
Yeah.
And that is not okay.
It's basically babies having babies, right?
It's
So,
babies being forced to have babies, and their parents have no control. And we're re-traumatizing children. And what happens to that new baby? Is that child now going to be forced to raise that baby? Is that child going to be forced to give her baby up for adoption? When does that child get agency over this crime that has been committed against her?
yeah, that is scary. That would keep me up at night too. Thank you so much, Rachel. Sandeep, same question. What keeps you up at night, and what are you going to do to protect us from that threat? You can unmute yourself.
Yeah. So, I mean, from 2016, these issues are with me. And that was the reason I came to the active politics, because I can't wait for the change. I want to be the change. And I'm worried. I'm angry. I'm angry, like we scared to go to shopping malls or religious places. We don't know when some crazy person will come and do a mass shooting. I live just across the elementary school. I don't know what will happen. It happened in Allen. I am worried about my future generation. I'm worried about how my daughter or my granddaughters can survive in this country or in most part of this country. I am more worried about people who are working class people. I want to lower their cost of living. I don't want Elon Musk to get more, become more billionaire and buy and spend his money is just buying Twitter for $45 billion. That is a crazy people we have. And on other hand, we have people who cannot buy their diabetes or blood pressure medicines. I'm worried about those people. That's why I want to run and fix it. I want to, if in Congress, my top 3 bill will be, I will support fixing the Supreme Court. That is necessity. Cost of living and women rights and sensible gun control laws.
Great. You have 3 things that you're concerned about. That's what you want to work on. That's awesome. Thank you so much. All right, well, let's, this is our last question, and then we'll open up the floor to the audience for their questions. So, it's time for action now. And one thing I wanted to point out, Kamala, the way we pronounce it in India, it's Kamala. And her name is my grandmother's name. My grandmother's name was Kamala. And so she says, when we fight, we win. And I think that's, so powerful that's just resonates with me. And so what one action do you want the listeners on this call today? What one action do you want to take? How do you want to put forth or echo what Kamala Harris says about when we fight, we win? So what would you do to fight? Let's start with Daryl.
Yeah, so what the contrast that I've seen between Kamala and Walz, their campaign, and what we have on the GOP side is we have positive liberty in our favor. You can see, Kamala and Walz really putting out the freedom to. What are the possibilities if we get education right? What are the possibilities if we get these, we can, get these policies that allow folks to really choose their own destiny, whether it's bodily autonomy or anything else. And so it is really, we need to really move to a message, even here in Collin County and in my campaign as well, is being a lot more positive to what the future really holds if we can do what we're trying to do. And so when I look, work with my team, and we're looking at, what are some of the voters that they're registered to vote, but they're not, they haven't really engaged in any primaries, or they're not consistent voters. What's going to get those folks out to the poll now is not fear. We've tried fears for so long. We need to have a positive message and let them know what's possible. So some, really concrete, call to action is anything that you can do. And I think that, say writing postcards or, mailers are really expensive. It could be the majority of your outreach budget could be mailing out things. So, having a really strong postcard program where the candidates don't have to actually put a whole lot into that, and folks are just writing postcards and really getting out to some of these folks, whether it's block walking or calling, or focus on those lists of folks that are registered, but they just haven't been activated, and we activate those folks.
Yeah, just wanted to say right there with Daryl that They See Blue has been writing postcards. We have teams all over Texas writing postcards to low propensity voters, South Asian voters. They do vote, but very occasionally. So we're trying to get them out, because I think that's going to be one of the ways to get more votes, more voters to the polls. Anyway, let me keep going. So George, same question. What one action do you want the audience to know that you're going to be working on, and how are you going to fight and win?
Yes, thank you. As a former high school principal of many years, I was also given the responsibility of being a deputy registrar, as any high school principal is, because you have 18-year-olds on your campus who you need to get out there and make them aware and make it possible for them to register to vote. And so that's an important function of a high school principal. I will tell you that school to school, that commitment and responsibility wanes. So what am I going to do? I'm going to call upon my former colleagues in the public education arena, and really press them to take care of that democratic responsibility. That actually that's a Texas Education Code mandate for them to behave in that way. So I'm really gonna press that. And then secondly, I think we're all going to really just enjoy the buoyancy that we get from this upcoming Democratic National Convention. And so we're just going to be this swell of pride and energy. And so I would challenge this group assembled tonight and all those of like mind to capture that energy, that swell, and let's make it happen. Make it, you can't just, admire it and move on. You have to, yes, admire it, bask in it, but at the same time, now take it forward. And so let's ride that wave all the way to General Election Day.
I muted myself. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Same question to Rachel. What one action are you going to take and bring to life the thing that Kamala Harris says, when we fight, we win?
So as George mentioned earlier when he was talking, I am still a full-time public school teacher. And what that does is that places a lot of constraints on my time. And so what I am really looking for right now is some super volunteers. I need some people who are going to be willing to go to events when they conflict with my work schedule. That's one area of challenge that I have really discovered in the last week, since we're now officially back in schools. And the other thing that I really need help and support with is my district covers 8 House districts. Only 6 of those House districts have candidates, which means I have 2 House districts where there isn't a more local candidate on the ground knocking on doors. And so I need some support in those specific areas. That's House District 5 and House District 33. One of those is southeastern Collin County, and the other one is in Rains County. So those are the specific areas that I need very specific type of support in those areas.
So thank you, Rachel. Same question to you, Sandeep. What one action do you want the listeners to know that you're going to take, so when we fight, we win?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm a fighter. I came to this country 25 years back with $1,000 in my pocket and with 2 suitcases. That's how I lived my life, because I see everything in a positive manner. I believe our job is to do our work honestly and do hard work. Don't worry about the results. They will follow. As you see, like in 2022, I ran. I lost. But my hope was not lost. Thought, okay, after loss, there is a win. Because after night, there is a day. And that's why I'm not giving it up. I'm fighting. Now I learned my lessons. Now I'm coming back with a double force or 4 times force with me. I don't want to let these people to ruin our life. We all don't want this to be happen. And as Kamala Harris says, if we don't fight, we'll not win. If we do not vote, we'll not win. If we do not do the campaigning, we'll not win. No, we have to keep on doing it. And I'm telling you, with this time in Hunt County in Commerce, 2 days, 3 days we were there in block walking. We knocked almost 3,000 doors. And 40% doors were the Republican doors.
Wow.
People were happy to see us. This is any first time in their life, any candidate or their campaign team has come to, and they want to see this. They are willing to vote for us. I persuaded a lot of Republican voters after talking 10 minutes with them during my block walk.
Well,
So I'm
we
not
need
giving up.
we need your secret sauce.
Yeah,
We
I mean, it's not secret sauce. Just come on the table, open dialogue. I mean, you won't believe in McKinney that day we knocked a Republican door. That guy was 70 years old and he has never voted other than Republican. I talked to him. I told him. We had a 10-minute discussion. After 10 minutes, what he said, come on inside, have a water. He called his wife also. See, I like this gentleman. This time
Yeah.
I'm going to vote for him. That's how it happens. That's why I'm putting my most efforts in knocking the doors.
That's great.
That creates a personal touch with the voters.
Yep. I
And
think
I'm
Sandeep.
happy. Yeah, we have a great candidate. Daryl's team always joins us when we block walk in his district. Rachel and George King has also started.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, that is because with my experience with last election, block walking, door knocking is most important thing, no matter.
Yeah. I think what Sandeep is also saying is, the person-to-person contact and actually getting, in front of people and showing them that you truly care and who you are, really makes a big difference. And one thing I did want to mention is, we can't stop at the top of the ballot. We have to go all the way down, and we have to go from the bottom all the way up. So it has to be, up and down the ballot. And that's the message that we have to give to all the voters, is that they have to vote all the way down to the bottom of the ballot, because those elections at the bottom of the ballot are probably more important to us locally than anything. I mean, we definitely want Democrats to be in Washington, D.C. and controlling all three, the houses and the White House, but these local elections are so important. That's why we're having this forum. So thank you all for answering these questions. We really appreciate it. And we can open up the floor for questions from the audience. And I think I saw one that was typed by Karen, I think. Karen, if you want to.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. Do you want to unmute yourself and ask the question? I can.
Okay. Hello. Sorry. Hi.
No worries.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sarah and Dwight, I was talking with y'all yesterday at the Democratic Party.
I thought your name looked familiar. Yes.
That was me. I guess my concern, because we're all on social media every day, and the biggest thing I keep seeing and I know that's one of the talking points with Kamala, is the immigration issue. So at this level with Dwight and Sandeep, and I apologize, I forgot the other gentleman's name, George, and the lady, how can y'all have any impact on the immigration discussion? I'm not sure if I'm asking the question right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Let me come on this question, because this is a very important question. And I'm also a first generation immigrant.
Right.
And I tell everyone, this country is a country of immigrants. Some people came 200 years back. Some people are coming now. We all came on different ships, but now we are on the same boat. So time to time now, this is the time the immigration reforms are needed. If you remember, when Bill Clinton was president, he saw the need. He introduced the high-skilled visa program. for high skilled people who can come and help them, because he can foresee, okay, now that technology and all those things are going to rule, and America needs those kind of people, so that otherwise this Apple, Google, Microsoft, these companies won't be a top 5 companies. So that's why he was such an intelligent president. He saw that it's coming. So he introduced that bill. And I was one of the beneficiary of that bill. I also came on that high skilled visa program to this country. Now at this time, our country need a low skilled visa program. Because if you go out and talk to any small business owner, whether it's a restaurant, it's a gas station, it's a car wash, or any kind of business, everybody is struggling. They are not getting people to work. And there are thousands of people are standing on the border. So the immigration reform is needed now. We need to have a low skilled visa program, as well as now we have to think developing the near shore projects. We have done for offshores. Now this is the time where the US government and Congress have to think of the near shore, develop the near shore in South America, so that those people get a jobs over there, they will not cross the border. If we need low skilled people, we can bring them legally so that they are part of our economy. They will pay the taxes. They will live their life. Their kids can go to school. That is the best way, because I believe in building the bridges, not the walls.
Yep, that's perfect.
Right. Well, I guess my biggest concern with that, with the immigration reform, with the Texans on the border, because that is such a hot button talking point. The majority of Texans, all they're focused on, the GOP primarily, is, thousands of people are coming across the border. Millions have crossed over already. We don't need all these immigrants, or as they say, illegal immigrants, rather than undocumented. That's their focus. Honestly, I don't think the average GOP person is thinking about, oh, let's try and make it a better way for them to come over, or make it easier for them to come over documented. I think it's just an influx of migrants coming. That's their issue. And it's like, how do you even address it? Is it going back to the countries that the migrants are coming from? Or because the majority of them are not from Mexico, they're even coming from Asia, by way of Central America, by way of Mexico into the US, so. And I guess that's that's the biggest concern, is how do you address it with, when I'm having these talking points with other people, what's the best way?
I think Daryl, you have something you can answer
so
this?
I kind of have like a 3-point kind of idea here. The first one is that as House District representatives, when we are in office come next year, we need to use a bully pulpit to really undo a lot of these stereotypes and using this language that's dehumanizing. That's number one. We have to be a united front to be much more humane, because our tax dollars are going towards barrels that are drowning babies in the Rio Grande. That is a real thing today, and it's absolutely disgusting. And so we have to A, speak out against those type of things. Then B, we have to, again, be that backstop to Greg Abbott and say, no, we're not voting for these. We don't support, state-sponsored human trafficking, busing migrants out of here. We don't support those things, and we're not going to vote for them. Full stop. And then this third thing, and maybe more in Sandeep's realm, but what we need on the border is not more border patrol, it's more walls. We need judges and lawyers to facilitate the due process that's already in place. We have laws for these things. We just don't have the judge. That's why there's such a huge backlog, and folks are sitting out in the desert and they're trying to get in here in different ways, because there's such a backlog of immigration judges and lawyers. We need to fund those type of things. So, you know, y'all can reclaim your time, you know, with me, but those are the three things that we, as a House district rep, that's what I'm going to be focused on.
Yep. Do George or Rachel, do either one of you have anything you want to add, or we can go to another question?
I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of what Daryl said, and like people are not sitting in South Texas in August for funsies. Like that's not a thing that's happening. If those people are sitting there enduring that in the heat outdoors, like they're not in houses. If they have any shelter at all, it's a tent. They're not out there because it's a fun place to be. They're out there because that is better than the place they came from. And if that is better than the place they came from, we need to really look at, are we being good neighbors?
And I wanted to add to this, to what everyone has said, that, you know, I think there's a lot of misinformation out there too. And that's something that we have to counter. I have a blog I can send to everyone. I didn't write it, a friend of mine wrote it, but it basically like outlines, you know, some of the things that the Republicans have said and what we can do to counter them. Is a lot of the things are not true. Crime going up and murder walking through this, you know, through the so we've got to counter the messages that are being put out there by the GOP. Are there any other questions for the candidates? No questions? Well, I wanted to thank, I didn't see any more questions in the chat, but I want to thank all four candidates, Daryl, George, Rachel, and Cindy, for joining us. And, you know, today is a really great day because tomorrow is the Democratic Convention, as I think George may have mentioned. One of the candidates, I can't remember who said it, but all of you may have said it. And so let's, you know, stay tuned on our TV since we're not there, and cheer on our teammates in Chicago. From, you know, I know Gina went and also other people have gone, but Gina comes to mind. So let's you know, watch that convention this week and spread the joy, because I feel like there's been a surplus or a explosion of joy in this country because of Kamala and Bill. So again, thank you so much, and I think I'm going to hand it over to Sarah for some closing remarks.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I think that's a great point. Just capitalizing on that positive liberty and that joy, because people are very excited. And one of the things that, you know, we're always told when we talk about getting out the vote is, instead of using that fear and that negative, it's that positive, like you are part of something bigger. You know, right now, as was mentioned, you know, Texas is a non-voting state. We just need to get people excited and know that they're not alone and actually coming out. There's, you know, some people that are making sure that they do, you know, early voting get-togethers where it's, you know, hey, I'm, you know, hosting, or we're meeting at the park, and everyone who went early voting today, like, please come and join us. And that way people really want to be a part of that. The other piece is, no matter what, there's something you can do. If you can't block walk, one of the things actually Rachel mentioned at a meeting we were at earlier today was, you know, if you have mobility issues or you can't take the heat, because, you know, I have medical issues where, like, I even, like, the heat tolerance is not great, but like I can be lit dropping, or I can be the one running the air conditioning while someone is going up to the doors, or I can be the one, like, before or after at the meeting place that, you know, provides water bottles or make sure everyone is okay. You can also do postcard writing, you can do texting. And honestly, I don't remember if it was you or not yesterday, Karen, but it was someone that was like, I feel like I haven't done anything, but I've at least been asking people, do you vote? And then having that conversation about how important it is and making sure they know how to register, or if they've moved in, into the county, getting it updated, letting them know that they can vote anywhere in Collin County. Like these seemingly small pieces make a huge difference, especially for, our college students or our vote by mail people. And as Swati mentioned, like not stopping at the top and going all the way to the bottom. Like we've got judges, we've got Stephanie here for tax assessor. We've got, candidates that are running for county commissioner, which is literally the most powerful office you've never heard of. They make so many decisions in our local areas. And like Daryl mentioned, once we get Kamala in office, we still have to put up with Abbott. So making sure that our legislation actually matches our communities, because right now it absolutely does not. These are not the things that Texans support, and they have been very vocal about it. But the ones in charge don't care because they're getting funds from 5 people. And I will say it is really powerful for, when Democrats come together, not only is it a lot of small grassroots donating, but also they're donating their time, they're donating their influence, they're talking to their friends, they're talking to their neighbor, whether it's in minivan, whether it's a neighbor to neighbor, whether it's with Reach. Like there's so many apps where it's reaching out to the people and getting people inspired and out to vote. And going, like we've mentioned, like literally all the way down to the ballot. These judges especially are so important. We have so many things that impact that national market, basically, like Sandeep was mentioning on the Supreme Court, where these people literally shop their judges. There's 2 judges in Texas, and they always run unopposed, and yet they're the ones that actually push these horrifying things up. So making sure that we have, people coming out to vote at every election, so we don't, have these slight errors, slight margins just because people didn't show up. Misty Hook, Dr. Misty Hook has a thing where she says democracy is something you do. Decisions are made by those who show up, and we need to show up because people's lives literally depend on it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you all. We really appreciate you taking your time this evening and coming out and talking to all of us, especially the candidates. Daryl, George, Rachel, and Sandeep, thank you again for joining us. We really, wish you well, and we'll be voting for you. So we want you to get elected. So thank you so much. And with that, let's end the program and have a great evening. Enjoy your rest of your Sunday.